So, episode 3 of Frasier has just dropped on Paramount Plus, and I'm gonna bloody talk about it. Now, like I mentioned in my review of episode 1 and 2, I'm gonna be doing my final rating of the full season once the last episode comes out, once the 10th episode comes out. So for the time being, these are gonna be quick little burst reviews. So in terms of what I thought of episode 3, definitely better than episode 1 and episode 2 in my humble opinion. It's one of those things where I can definitely see the momentum starting up with something that can be really good and also very different and unique at the same time in terms of being confined in the world of Frasier. Now in episode 3, we see Frasier's first day at his new job at Harvard University, and we also see a bit of his backstory in terms of his talk show. Now we obviously never saw the talk show in the original series, it was always the radio show, but since then Frasier actually had a talk show called Dr. Crane, and we see Frasier showing the footage to Alan of season 1 compared to season 13, which is a massive commentary on how shows can shift and change in terms of what they originally started from to where they go, and it just completely loses the plot. Now, unfortunately, Frasier's students just want to see him in his talk show element, and he's trying to separate that and kind of forget his past. He just wants to move on. He just wants to be taken seriously and not seen as a sideshow. Bob. Hello, Bart. Now, going back to my overall thoughts, again, I definitely think the momentum is starting to build, and I'm really liking where this show is going so far. Now, to address some comments from my previous review of episode 1 and 2, one particular comment that said, it's interesting how you're not comfortable with Frasier being surrounded by new people. But that's exactly how he started out in the original series. Obviously excluding his dad and Niles, but he is surrounded by a new bunch of people, and I totally understand where this person is coming from, and a lot of people are coming from with some comments regarding my review of episode 1 and 2. I definitely think it's one of those things where I just have big nostalgia goggles for the original season, and I'm definitely holding on to that. And look, there's nothing wrong with that, but it definitely is one of those things where you have to go in with an open mind, especially with a series like this where things are different now. Things have changed and things will never be the same again. And I can safely say that I am a lot more relaxed and I'm a lot happier with what I'm seeing so far, especially with episode 3. Kelsey Grammer is in fine form in this episode, and I was getting a lot of laughs out of him. He has a lot of physical comedy in this episode too, like a nice throwback to his physical comedy of the original series where he just absolutely go ballistic, but also very theatrical. My favorite bit of Frasier physicality from the original season was, I am wounded! And I'm also really loving actor Anders Keith as David Crane. It's crazy watching him and just the mannerisms of Niles and Daphne showing through. Like, it's the perfect pairing, and I definitely would love to have seen him workshopping how to do the movements and the mannerisms and even the voice at times. You could close your eyes and there's subtle little hints and words you hear that come out of his mouth and you're like, that sounds like Niles. Now, I didn't mention Nicholas Lyndhurst in my episode 1 and 2 review. He is definitely the comedic relief in this series. He's great. His sense of humor is dry, he's witty, and I feel like he's kind of the new Niles, but not, it's not, I'm not going to say he's a placeholder, but he definitely has that comedic relief and bounces well off Kelsey Grammer. Now, there is a subplot of Freddie and Eve rehearsing lines for a play that Eve's going to audition for, and it just kind of falls flat, and you kind of forget that they're doing that in the episode, where it's mostly focusing on Frasier's first day on the job at Harvard. Also, who's Frasier remind you of here? Now, it does get to the point where Frasier wants to quit. He just can't handle the pressure of trying to go back to his talk show host days. He wants to be taken seriously as a lecturer, and there's a nice little bit of role reversal going on where Frasier gets home, he wants to quit, and Freddie sits him down and essentially just shouts back the words that Frasier, and I'm assuming Lilith, shouted at Freddie when he wanted to quit Harvard. It was a nice little bit of writing. However, the ending of episode 3 was a bit of a letdown. I can safely say that, the first and second act were great. Again, it gave me hope, and I really liked where it was going, and I liked what I saw, I liked what I heard, I got more giggles this time around. But the final act, it kind of just fell flat. But I'm not going to let that take away from what I liked in the first and second act. It was good shit. Definitely got my second wind with this series now. I can't wait to see what episode 4 has in store, and I definitely think they've got their bearings now, in my humble opinion. Some people absolutely love episode 1 and 2, and that is bloody awesome. Love you guts, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.